Three topics today, Cart. Let's start with a recruit that the Michigan coaching staff feels great about. Darius Acuff is a top 10 player in the country. He is a state of Michigan kid who is a dynamic, explosive guard, and everybody in the country wants him. Like if a guard has a Kentucky offer, by my book, everybody in the country wants him. He has a lot of other prestigious programs that are also after him as well. Alabama being one of them, Michigan certainly being one of them. Want to throw it to you because you are the Sleepers in-house recruiting expert. Give me your Darius Acuff breakdown, because I believe this is the first time we've ever talked about him on this show. And then the other reason we're talking about him, Cart, he's visiting Michigan September 1st through 3rd. He will be taking an official visit to Michigan. First weekend of college football, pretty big week to line up a big recruit like this. So does Michigan have a real chance here? But first, what's your outlook on Acuff?
Okay, so if you were looking at players that have had not just one of the best summers, one of the best years of all of, ascension and success, Darius Acuff is one of these players. So I actually first saw him during the high school season with the Cass Tech High School, which is in Detroit, in the PSL. And I basically got word through just people that I talked to in college basketball grassroots circles in Michigan. They're like, there's this sophomore from Cass Tech, and he can go. Like, he's a bad MFer, basically. So I made my way out. I went to go see a game at Renaissance or something like that. One of those high school, holiday tournaments. And I came away like, dog, this kid can go. And at the time, like, he wasn't highly ranked. I don't even know if he was ranked, to be honest with you. But you could see that this kid could go. Fast forward to the state championship playoffs. He leads Cass Tech as a sophomore in Class A to a state championship. Everything's going great. He's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Still a fringe rank kid. Gets on the circuit with the family playing up with 17 and under. He's a class of 2025 kid. And basically, at session after session, is one of the best scorers on EYBL and is, getting all the accolades, first team all EYBL. And then steam starts picking up. He gets into the top 100. By the last session, he's a 5-star. He's getting all the blue blood offers. Kentucky's coming in. And now he's transferring to IMG Academy to play on the prep circuit, which is what all great Michigan high school athletes do, because the MHSAA is out of their goddamn mind and they need to fix themselves. So he is an absolute dynamic scorer. I don't know if I had a actual comp for him, but think like what Trey Burke did at Michigan. Darius Acuff can do that and have that type of impact. I think he can score the ball as well as Trey Burke scores the ball. I don't know if he can necessarily do the other things that Trey Burke did. So I think Trey Burke was an underrated passer in my eyes. But as far as scoring, I think he can have a Trey Burke type effect at Michigan. Like, he's a pure bucket getter, and he's just scratching the surface.
I'm sorry, my eyes felt like they were stuck for a moment there. 6'2" Trey Burke?
Yes.
That's the comp. Wow. Shit.
He's tough, man. That dude's a bucket for real.
I know he's tough. I don't know. This is such an oversimplified way to say it, but like, it really, the phrase or the thought I had after watching a bunch of film on him last night was just, he can go. And I know we've said that before. You said it directly as you talk about him, but it's funny. That's like something that you and I both immediately came to.
Well, the reason I go to that so quickly is because everyone's like, oh, he's 6'2", like, doesn't have crazy wingspan, doesn't have crazy athleticism. But he played up with 17 and under and plays again on one of the best AAU circuits, and everybody he put in front of him was food.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like his production shines through the tape. And sometimes it's hard when you watch a highlight reel. I think it's difficult to sometimes pick up like, oh, is this guy like a 9 a game guy or is he a 20 a game guy? It's just clips of him doing good things. Like Acuff, you can just watch highlights literally, and you're like, that dude is a box score stuffer. And I think he does a lot to impact winning too. There's a reason everybody's after him. This is also important to know, like, massive riser. It kind of not at all their games, because not similar whatsoever in the way they play, but the recruitment reminds me of Devin Booker's recruitment. And I'll go back to just paint a picture of what it was like when Michigan was recruiting Devin Booker years ago. Devin Booker was a 4-star recruit, even lower in some services. John Beilein identifies the under the radar gem, classic John Beilein move. Devin Booker with a bunch of baby fat comes to a Michigan camp and just absolutely dominates it. Beilein thinks he's going to get a commitment that weekend. The day before he's supposed to get a commitment, Devin Booker gets calls from Kentucky and other schools across the country. His recruitment blows up. He becomes a 5-star. Devin Booker ends up at Kentucky. And that cycle was a really horrible cycle for Michigan. Like they were after like James Blackman, a bunch of other really talented guards. They got none of them. And it's what sort of set them back in that little like gap between title appearances. Like they had a class where they just missed on Devin Booker and every other tier 1 target. So Booker, again, guy from the state of Michigan, leaves the state of Michigan, blows the hell up. And Michigan, even though they had the tightest ties, ends up not getting him. Those are the vibes I'm getting here with Acuff. And I think at the time it felt like Booker was really important to the John Beilein era. I would say this, Cart. I think Acuff and to a lesser extent Trey McKinney are incredibly important to where Juwan Howard goes from here, because these are kids he has a real shot at. And you've heard me come on here plenty of times before. I don't think Juwan Howard has a real shot at a lot of the guys he recruits. I mean, he's still quote unquote after Cooper Flagg, right? Like those are the recruitments he's entering and you're rolling your eyes at him. I'm not rolling my eyes at Acuff and McKinney. He can get these kids, but he has to get them. And if he doesn't, I don't know where he goes.
Yeah, and with Acuff specifically, and I don't know if this applies to basketball, but just historically, there seems to be a connection between Cass Tech High School and the University of Michigan. I think it's a very close-knit connection as far as athletes that have success at Cass Tech going to Michigan. You know, you think back to like the Donovan Peoples-Jones, you know, a couple other football players mainly, but there is a connection between Cass Tech and Michigan, I think. So I think they do have a leg up on that. Obviously, him going to IMG, he's going to continue to expand his game and get his name on a bigger stage. But, you know, I think that Michigan would have a chance, and honestly, all Michigan schools had a chance to have a leg up on these recruits, on the Acuffs and the McKinneys, with them being in state. And McKinney's obviously staying in his school, but who knows how long he's going to be there.
IMG also has ties to Juwan. IMG has ties with everybody.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Jack.
But yeah, like when I heard Acuff, oh, he's IMG now, that's a good development for Michigan compared to if he was going to Montverde or something like that. Like Jet and a lot of guys that Juwan has recruited and landed have gone through IMG. So between the two I mentioned, Acuff and McKinney, I think Michigan has a significantly stronger shot with Acuff. That's my gut feel. I think it's massive. Like massive they got this visit when they got this visit. Opening college football weekend, official visit, 3 days with a top 10 recruit in the country that's from your state. Like this better be a full court press. And I'm not saying I feel good about it, but I think they have a chance. And that's way nicer than I would say about a lot of the other recruits Juwan's after right now. So we like Darius Acuff. He's going to be great wherever he goes. Anytime you can get a Kentucky guard to not play for Kentucky, that's a win. And that's how I view Darius Acuff right now. Let's move on